People generally like their coffee either hot or iced, hence the need for the thermal coffee pot. Pour in hot coffee, and the pot holds in heat, keeping the coffee at that temperature for a good half hour. The trick to a thermal coffee pot is in the construction. Both the body and lid have a double wall, 2 layers of stainless steel. Between them is a tiny gap, just 5 to 6 millimeters. The air in this gap insulates the inner wall, trapping the heat inside the pot. They start with a stainless steel sheet, just 1.2 millimeters thick. The first step is to cut it into smaller pieces on a mechanical press. To make the coffee pot's body, they cut it into strips. Then each strip into squares measuring 8 by 8 inches. Then they put each square in another mechanical press. It stamps the square onto a circular die, which cuts it into a disc. They'll now use this disc to make the outer wall. They run the disc through a lubricator that coats the surface with oil to aid the next step. On a machine called a hydraulic deep drawing press, the machine's molders draw the flat disc into a 3-dimensional shape. This stretches the stainless steel fibers to a very fragile state. They strengthen the piece by what's called thermic normalization, heating the metal to 1800 degrees Fahrenheit, then letting it cool to room temperature. This process restores the original molecular structure of the stainless steel, so it can be shaped further without breaking. But first, they even out the jagged rim with a trimmer. Then they return the wall to the deep drawing press, outfitted with a differently shaped molder. The second drawing tapers the wall to a more rounded shape and forms a base to make the bottom perfectly flat. Then it's back to the trimmer, outfitted with a different tool this time to smooth the rim. They repeat the same steps to make the coffee pot's inner wall. The deep drawing press pulls the stainless steel disc into a slightly different shape, with the lip protruding to one side. They heat the wall in the induction oven to restore the molecular structure before shaping the metal further. Then they place the wall in a mold and release a press. This shapes the protruding lip into a spout. Then they transfer the wall to another press, which stamps it with a die, cutting off excess metal. They check to make sure that the inner and outer walls fit together properly. If everything's fine, they polish both walls inside and out. A little polishing paste applied with a sisal brush on the polishing wheel has the surfaces glistening in no time. The surface is now perfectly smooth and ready for welding. The first part they weld is the coffee pot's stainless steel handle. They shape it with 2 strikes of a press, then polish. They use a spot welder to fuse the handle to the pot's outer wall. Then they turn the wall upside down to stamp the manufacturer's logo into the bottom. Now the assembly. They place the inner wall on a fixture, then the outer wall over it. A press pushes the inner to the correct depth. Then they weld along the rim of the outer wall, fusing it to the inner one. The coffee pot's lid also has double walls for insulation. They weld a hinged lever to the lid and the adjoining part of the hinge to the coffee pot body. Then they gently hammer a pin through the hinge, riveting the ends of the pin so that it can't fall out. After a thorough cleaning in a dishwasher, the coffee pot is ready to use. If you have any comments about the show, or if you'd like to suggest topics for future shows, drop us a line at sciencechannel.com/howitsmade.